Hello students, now we will study about the fuel supply system of diesel engine or CI engine. So fuel supply system in a diesel engine has to perform certain functions. So what are the functions which have to be performed by the diesel engine for fuel supply? Fuel supply system in diesel engine has to perform certain functions. So what are they? The first one is storing of fuel. Storing of fuel. So here a fuel tank is usually positioned along the side of the vehicle chassis. So if this is the vehicle chassis, so along the side of this chassis a fuel tank is positioned. A fuel tank is usually positioned along the side of the vehicle chassis. Then, so we can say that the CI engine or diesel engine will have a fuel tank. So the components also we can discuss as well as the function we will discuss here. The second one is the filtering. Water and dirt must be removed from the diesel, for which two filters are employed. So water and dust or dirt must be removed from the diesel, for which two filters are employed. So here we can say that a fuel tank, then two filters are also present. So two filters, that is the first one is the primary filter, is usually in the form of a coarse wire gauge and is often optional. So two filters, the first one is the primary filter, which is in the form of a coarse wire gauge and is often optional. So it is optional to have this primary filter. This primary filter prevents large solid particles and water from going into the fuel feed pump. What is the function of this primary function? So if you throw some large solid particles like some pebbles or stones, then it will not go inside the fuel feed pump, and this primary filter will also stop water from going inside the fuel feed pump. So it will prevent large solid particles and water from going to the fuel feed pump. Then the secondary filter is used after the fuel feed pump, and it is meant to remove fine particles of dirt, dust, etc. from the diesel, which is to go to the injection pump. So primary filter is placed above the fuel feed pump. This secondary filter is placed after the fuel feed pump. So for example, if this is the primary filter, so this is placed above the fuel feed pump. Secondary filter is placed after the fuel feed pump. So this is secondary filter. Okay. So this secondary filter is meant to remove fine particles of dirt, dust, etc. Secondary filter is used after the fuel feed pump and is meant to remove fine particles of dust, dirt, etc. from the diesel, which is to go to the injection pump. Then the delivering of fuel to injection pump. The third function which this supply system has to perform is delivering of fuel to injection pump. So from the fuel tank, the fuel is delivered to the fuel injection pump by means of fuel feed pump. So there are two different types of pumps. So fuel injection pump is different from fuel feed pump. So from the fuel tank, the fuel is delivered to the injection pump by means of a fuel feed pump. So the rate of fuel delivery depends upon the engine requirements. So if the speed is more, then the fuel delivery will be faster. If the speed of the engine is less, then the fuel delivery will be slow. From the fuel tank, the fuel is delivered to the fuel injection pump by means of fuel feed pump. The rate of delivery depends on the engine requirement. Then the next function which this supply system has to perform is injecting the fuel into engine cylinders. So injecting the fuel to engine cylinder. So exact amount of fuel has to be metered. So we have already studied about the metering and the timing components. So the fuel, how much amount of fuel is required is first metered, then that fuel is atomized and injected under high pressure to each cylinder in correct sequence and at the correct moment according to the engine requirements. So the amount of fuel is first metered, atomized, so it is then atomized and injected under high pressure to each cylinder in correct sequence and at the correct moment according to the engine requirements. So this is done by means of fuel injection pump in conjunction with injectors for each cylinder. So if there are 4 cylinders, then there will be 4 injectors. So the fuel injection pump along with these injectors for the cylinders will inject the fuel. Injection pump in conjunction with injectors for each cylinder will inject the fuel. Extra strong steel pipes transmit the metered, pressured, and timed fuel from the fuel injection pump to each injector. So, there are extra strong steel pipes to transmit the metered, pressured, and timed fuel from the fuel injection pump to the each injector. So an injector is present for each cylinder. So if this is the fuel injection pump, so this will send the fuel to the injector. So if there are 4 cylinders, there will be 4 injectors. These are all injectors. So even this is an injector. So the fuel according to the timing, it will according to the sequence of the cylinder which has to receive the fuel, this pump will send the fuel to each injector of the cylinder. So extra strong steel pipes. So here this pump will send the fuel through pipes. So which are steel pipes and they are very strong. Transmit the metered, pressurized and timed fuel from the fuel injection pump to each injector. The next function is controlling the engine speed. The fifth function is controlling the engine speed. So the diesel engine speeds tend to overshoot to dangerous value on the reduction of the load. So when the load on the engine is reduced, then the speed of the engine will overshoot to a dangerous value. So they have to be controlled, and that is the engine speed is controlled by means of a governor. So here the engine speed tends to overshoot to dangerous values on reduction of load. So this speed is controlled by means of a governor. The governor not only limits the speed but also regulates the fuel supply under all conditions. So this is about the fuel supply system of diesel engine, and this is how the fuel supply is done in the diesel engine. So we have seen how the fuel is stored, how it is filtered, how it is delivered to the injection pump, and from the injection pump how it is sent to the engine cylinders, and how the engine speed is controlled in the diesel engine. So I hope you have understood the topic. Thank you.